Hello lovely sewing friends, I hope you guys are doing well. I have some updates, and what I have found with these YouTube videos now is that I'm really wanting to show you guys the full process of what I'm working on as I'm going through it. So I'm going to show you guys what I've been working on. First things first, I have been working on that fire dress. Remember this fabric? So I've been working on that, and I'm actually wearing one of the toiles now. So what I eventually kind of finished last week's video or the week before on was I was going to do the sleeveless version for this dress, but of course I need to do a something underneath because this fabric is far too sheer to just wear it as is. So what I did is I went fabric shopping and I got this really like a very similar type of color as well, knit fabric to make the bodycon dress for underneath, and I've done two toiles. So the first toile that I did, I'll just grab it 1 second. First toile that I did, I mapped out the bodycon block, and then, so this is what it looks like. It's very basic, right? Because I just wanted to get the overall shape, and what I've learned from that was there was a little bit of puckering here around like the armhole bust area, which is to be expected because it is a knit and it's a stretch. So depending on that, I need to work on that part. But also what I learned from it is that the area from the waist to the hips was far too narrow, and it kind of, it was tight, but it was also very unflattering as well. So what I've now done between that toile and the toile that I'm currently wearing is I've changed the hips, but I didn't have enough fabric to make the full length again. So what I did was I just changed the armhole, side, apparently is what it's called. So the difference between this toile and the toile that I'm wearing, just for you guys visually to see, is here, right? So there is still a little bit of puckering there. However, right, this does have a 1 centimeter seam allowance in it. So I'm thinking, right, and also I just did two fronts because I was like, I can't be bothered doing a front and a back. It's because this is the neck hole, and on the back, this is the front. On the back, I would have it raised a little bit and then curve it into the shoulder seam. So with this here, I'll see if I can find, yeah, I can find the original here. See, this was my first toile draft pattern piece, and you can see the difference. That's the front and then that's the back, right? And then with the arm curve here, if I put them up one next to each other, you'll see the difference. There we go. So you can see on this front piece, I've taken it in quite a bit to avoid the extra fabric there for those puckers. And also I've raised it up a bit, so I've got a 90-degree angle under the arm. Just makes it so much neater when it comes to sewing it all up. And also makes a nice continuous curve. It's not going to like a V point, which is something I'm very guilty with when I'm doing my own patterns. So I'm on my second toile. I think I'm going to do another toile in this fabric, but I don't have enough fabric to do it like here and now. And on the second toile, what I want to do is do full body, sort out the hips on it, and also I might have to add a slit in the sides, but I'm not too sure, because what I'm also wanting to do is make sure that this the like one rule with linings or undergarments or whatever you want to call them is that you don't want them peeking out at the bottom. So this is going to be longer than the underdress. So I need to take that into account, because I'm also going to be using this pattern as like a guide for when I'm making this pattern's dress. So next toile, I'm going to do full body. So I'll show you guys what this looks like. I've got jeans on, but like you could easily wear this out and it'd be fine, but it's just very basic, and I need to finish. I want to see how I'm going to finish the armholes, the raw edges essentially, and the neckline, because like, should I just fold it over once like that? Because I don't want to overlock it, because the overlocking threads will make it quite thick. So I think I'm just going to fold it under and zigzag, because this underdress isn't going to be seen. So I don't really need to make sure that it's like absolutely perfect. You know, I can just do a blind stitch or something. I'll figure that out later. In the meantime, I'll do another toile to show you guys. And one thing I've realized with this fabric is that I had it kind of like, because it was a pleat, it's a pleat fabric. I kind of had it like just scrunched up in a bag, and now it's got a couple of creases in it. And I'm just gonna hang it up for a couple of days and let it kind of all fall out. I think it's gonna be fine. Worst case scenario, I steam it. I will never iron this fabric. It's a polyester, so it will hold its pleats and everything, so it'll be fine. But get the toile for the bodycon dress underneath sorted first. Okay, so there's that. The next project I've been working on, my little stained glass flowers. I'll show you guys. I actually made a bit of progress on this. Right, so this is my little flower, and I love it. So I'll talk you guys through this. So I got all my fabric scraps out. I cut out my flower pattern, and then I pinned each individual petal on fabric that I'd already ironed a double face interfacing onto. Then I cut that out. Then I placed my petals on this scrap piece of fabric, and then I just did a zigzag around, and I've learned so much from this already. So first thing that I've learned is, okay, so I was originally going around the petal like that and then in. And what that eventually ended up doing is creating like a really weird join where one line of stitching finished and another one started. So what I think I'll do next time I do this is do the lines of stitching out like that, right? And then do the exterior pieces like that. And I think I need to simplify the pattern, because originally the pattern had like these little like petal waves on the ends of the petals, and I think that detailing gets lost in this thick stitching. Because I want it to look like a stained glass window, it needs to have like the joinery that's usually on stained glass windows. So I want that to be there, but I don't want things like that happening, you know? So I need to do another toile. I'm very happy with this one. Another thing, my sewing machine, it only has one width of zigzag stitch when I was doing this, but since then I've got another sewing machine, so I want to try it out on the newer sewing machine and see if I can get a narrower zigzag stitch. I also want to try it with a blanket stitch, which isn't stained glass-esque, but I think it would be a great way to just try something that I think's not going to work and not give me the effect that I want, but is still a really good experiment. So that's where I'm up to. Another thing I didn't take into consideration when I was doing this was how much thread it takes, because zigzag does take a lot of thread because you're using a dense stitch. So of course, you know, I was like, oh, I loaded up all my thread and everything, and I did this part, and then I ran out, and I was like, oh God. So I kept on going and going and going. And then, you might not be able to see it on camera, but I ran out of thread right there. I had about like 6 stitches left and I ran out. But I'm really happy with this as a first time kind of like tester. I've learned a lot, which it was the goal of this. Like I never did this with the intention of it like being perfect, but I was also wanting to ask you guys if for the center of the flower, I should do, right, I've got a couple of buttons here, and I just want to see what it looks like, because like I think a button in the middle is cute. However, I think it really has to go with like the overall aesthetic of the piece, because what I don't want it to look like is a quilt. I want it to look like a stained glass piece. So what I'm worried about is having a button in there may make it look like a quilt. And then for the stem, I'm going to use a really thin bias binding to create the stem, and then multiple flowers and leaves can be coming off one piece. So that's the next step in this. So I've got 2 really good projects. I've actually started on the 3rd, but we'll save that for another time. I'm going to go because I need to go to work and to the office and do some editing, and I will see you guys next week. Short video, I know, but I hope you guys enjoy these. I am working on some like tutorials, like actual tutorials. The first one should be coming out ideally by the end of this week, but send peace, love and prayers to me because it has been a life and it has been a day already, and it's only Monday. So live, laugh, love, learn to sew. Make sure to subscribe, and I'll see you guys next week.